Raider Nation, what's going on? You guys are watching the Raiders Report. Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, ready to give you guys the latest news around the Las Vegas Raiders Week 15 game up against the Cleveland Browns. Now, the news is that this game has ended up getting rescheduled. So the game was supposed to be on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, but because of all the COVID cases that the Cleveland Browns have had, the NFL has decided to actually move this game. So what you're going to see now is a double-header in terms of Monday Night Football. I know a lot of Raider fans right now are actually a little bit upset over this news for the simple fact of, hey man, I remember just last season when the Raiders basically didn't have their entire offensive line, and the NFL, instead of bumping that game back, they decided to actually bump it up a little bit. But the news is this: the Raiders and Browns game will now be played on Monday instead of the usual Saturday game that we were going to have. Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So what I want you guys to do is go down into the comment section right now and let me know how you're feeling. Give me that one-word reaction, because my one reaction is biased. The NFL has been able to show time and time again that you try to figure out a way to get these games moving. And for whatever reason, and I get it, the Browns were going to be without multiple players. They were going to be without a lot of their main-time dudes. I mean, you want to talk about 21 potential players. They were going to be without their head coach as well. And sure, you're going to be missing both of your quarterbacks. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to use the word bias, because NFL teams, NFL players, they have the decision at the end of the day to whether or not they would have wanted to get vaccinated or not. I don't care if you want to. I don't care if you don't want to. It really simply comes down to making a decision. The Las Vegas Raiders have been very vocal about being a football team that wanted to be vaccinated. In fact, they've actually been one of the best teams this entire season of not having these COVID issues. I mean, look at just recently, Jalen Richard, Trent Sieg. Okay, two players that were dealing with issues. That's really been almost all the issues that the Raiders have had this entire season. Now, I think a lot of that is because back in 2020, there was all the other issues with John Gruden, several different players getting fined. But the Raiders made an adult decision to say, hey, we want to be an NFL team. We want to be a team that rallies together and has that vaccination. I mean, even one of the top stories in this offseason was around Denzel Perryman. Actually, one of the reasons why he was let go by Carolina was because of the whole vaccination issue. Denzel Perryman decided, you know what? I want to be a part of this football team, and I want to go ahead and get vaccinated. And I'm never going to be the person that tells people what they should and shouldn't do, but I do not understand why this game is ultimately getting pushed back, because I really feel like if it was against any other team, if it wasn't the Raiders benefiting from it, I'll get it together soon, then this would have been a whole totally different conversation. Now, obviously, y'all, I'm not at this studio, and today's actually my day off on Friday. In fact, Chat Sports, we're going to go out and have a nice little Christmas celebration. So if you guys want to ask me any questions, that's what I'm going to be doing. But to make sure that you never miss any news, never miss any rumors going on around the Las Vegas Raiders, what I want you to do is take a second. There's actually a subscribe button underneath every single video. You can click that. Click sub, that way you do not miss a thing. If you're wondering why should somebody sub to the Raiders Report, because I really truly believe that we are the most dedicated YouTube channel out there for all the Raiders content that people look for. Plus, we're going to go live on Monday now for a watch party. We're going to be live for over 4 hours, and until this team is literally done, until the season is over, I'm still going to give you that information. I'm still going to go ahead and give you that content. Now, in terms of this Raiders and Browns game, the reason why that this game is such a big deal is obviously the Las Vegas Raiders, they have a 6-7 record. The Cleveland Browns are sitting there with a 7-6 record. So with the AFC going the way it is, this obviously has major playoff implications. Now, I've been on the Raiders Report before, and I've said I don't have a lot of confidence in this team making the playoffs. However, until that fat lady starts singing, don't hear anything, then I'm going to continue to say that we have a chance to make the playoffs, which is why this game is really, really big, because if you can beat the Browns, you then go to 7-7. Cleveland falls down to 7-7, and then you have that tiebreaker. When you look at the last 4 games here for Las Vegas, it's the Cleveland Browns, the Denver Broncos, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Los Angeles Chargers. all 4 of those teams will be battling it out for final wild card playoff position. So like this game, this decision by the NFL is massive. I'm a big time fan of competition, and I'm a big time fan of having all the players out there. There's no doubt about it. But it also comes down to people following rules and adults basically making decisions on themselves. Either you get vaccinated or you don't. And for that reason, I am a little bit upset with the overall determining factor here, the NFL, of moving the Saturday game that the Raiders and Browns were supposed to have, and now you move it to Monday, right? So one of the big storylines going into this game is going to be, how do the Raiders players react? How do the Raiders players get ready? Because then what also happens is you have a shortened week to get ready then for Week 16 up against the Denver Broncos. So that's like a whole nother story. But one of the things that we're going to talk about right now is the NFL playoff picture, because as it stands right now, the Raiders have only about an 8% chance of making the playoffs. So what I want you guys to do is go down in the comments section and tell me how many games you think this team's going to win, or if you're like, you know what, man, I want them to tank. Because one of my biggest issues that I have right now is people that are like, you know what, I want the Raiders to tank. I want the Raiders to lose the rest of their games. I want them to go 6-11, and I want them to have a better a better draft seeding. I hate that mentality. And I hate that because if that's the type of mentality you want to have for your football club, that's on you. That's not the mentality I think Al Davis would want. That's not the mentality that I would want. Hell, I wouldn't want to teach my kids that you want to tank to get better, maybe potentially in the future. Like, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to lace up my cleats. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to play my heart out every single week, because that's your job to do that. So if your mentality is that you want to tank, you want to get ready for the draft, all I ask you to do is you stay off my Instagram, you stay off my Twitter, at MitchellRens365, because as far as I'm concerned, if you want them to tank, you have no business whatsoever getting mad at a 48-9 blowout to the Kansas City Chiefs. You have no right to get upset. You have no right to be able to debate if Derek Carr or Marcus Mariota should be the starting quarterback, because if you're going to check out, I also don't want to even hear that you are getting mad that the Raiders players are checking out. Now, there's also a lot of other rumors that are starting to circulate here around the Raiders, so I figured, you know what, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to break some of those other things down for you. There's been a rumor circulating around DeSean Jackson and whether or not he said certain things to Raiders players in the locker room, and one of the things that apparently he said was that, you know, they're shit and they're not any good and he doesn't want to waste his time here. Unfortunately, I've been trying to poke around. I've been trying to figure out exactly the latest on some of these rumors here around DeSean Jackson, but according to some people who I trust and people who usually give me my information, none of that has come out to say that that's true yet. I'm going to continue to dig. I'm going to continue to figure it out. But here's the question I'm going to ask all y'all. Do you think DeSean Jackson ripped apart the team inside of the locker room after that loss? Y for yes, or you can go ahead and type N for no. If you do type your Y for yes, does it bother you? Like, that's what I'm genuinely curious about, because I do find it very interesting that, in a sense, we applaud Divine Diablo, because I 100% applaud Divine Diablo for speaking out to players, basically not directly, but in that press conference where he was like, you know, I felt like a few guys fell. I want to go out there with guys. I want to play with guys who lace it up every single time. Now, with these rumors going on right now around DeSean Jackson, does that change your mindset at all? Because what it reminds me of is, remember last season, all those rumors around that one game, and I can't remember which game it was, but I think it was actually the Dolphins game. I think they lost the Dolphins, and then apparently Nelson Aguilar, who's one of the nicest dudes in all of the NFL, went into the Raiders locker room and started ripping people apart. That came out to not be true. That's what this kind of whole situation seems like. I don't know who's spreading this story. I don't know who's exactly talking about it. But from people who I talk to, from people that I trust inside the Raiders organization, they haven't told me anything on it. Now, if something comes out that DeSean Jackson did say that and he wants to be released, well, then guess what? We're going to talk about it a little bit more here on the Raiders Report. So again, guys, I'm basically breaking down the latest news here around the Raiders and Browns game being moved from Saturday to Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you made it this far in the video, I got to be doing something halfway decent around here. Please go ahead and subscribe again and make sure that you guys are staying up to date, because it's going to be an eventful week. There's no doubt about that. There's going to be a lot of injury news. Speaking of injury news, 3 players who were ruled out, Darren Waller, Denzel Perriman, and Trayvon Mullen, Technically now they're going to have that extra day or two to be able to get some rest. I would be shocked if Trayvon Mullen is out there on the field. I would also be very surprised if Denzel Perriman's going to be out there. Another rumor that is actually starting to circulate a little bit more is that Darren Waller's agents, remember, he just hired brand new agents, they don't want Waller to play until either he's extended or until he gets a brand new deal potentially or traded. Like, I've heard some wild rumors out there. And honestly, it's probably been one of the top questions that I've been getting in my DMs on Instagram and on Twitter. So here's what I personally know about the Darren Waller situation. He suffered an ankle injury, or not an ankle, a knee injury, excuse me. This was a few weeks ago. They ruled him as being day-to-day, and he had a chance to play in the Week 13 game. Was unable to go in Week 13 up against Washington. Then they said, okay, he's got a chance to play Week 14 up against Kansas City Chiefs. Unfortunately, that one did not happen either. So now we're sitting here, Darren Waller, going to miss 3 weeks. Originally was expected to miss 1 or 2. I don't know Darren Waller's agents personally, but I could also understand them wanting to play it a little bit safer with their star tight end or with their star client. I can also understand the Raiders wanting to take it a little bit easier and not really forcing Waller to go out there unless he's 100% healthy. Because let me make this thing clear. I put out a list of players a few days ago about the 8 guys that I would build this Raiders roster around. The only reason why somebody like Denzel Perriman wasn't mentioned, because I was going for age. And now a lot of people are like, well, Perriman's 29 years old. Darren Waller's also 29 years old. Why did you include him? Because Darren Waller is one of the best tight ends at his position, or best players at his position. Not that I don't like Denzel Perriman, but Perriman to me is a little bit different scenario than Darren Waller. So for the Raiders, if you're really trying to make sure that your future is bright, Waller needs to be healthy. So if you hear any more stories about Waller not wanting to play or sitting out because of getting a new deal, I don't fully believe that. I really truly believe that the Raiders are waiting until he is 100% healthy to be able to put him back out there on the football field. My hope is that it's going to be Week 16 up against the Denver Broncos, the day after Christmas. We'll keep you guys updated here on everything going on. I want you guys to enjoy the rest of your Friday. If you see anything else going on, please, I will do my best to keep you up to date on my Instagram or my Twitter, because Chat Sports, we're doing a Christmas party. We got a party bus. We're going to be having a good time. We're going to go to a casino in Oklahoma, and it's going to be a whole event. So if there's any more information, if there's any more news going on around the Raiders or this Browns game, I will do my best to post updates on Twitter and on Instagram. Everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Much love. Raider Nation, I love you.